All right, they've been here with us all afternoon, Matt Norlander and Chip Patterson. Matt, I want to start with you because you said pregame you thought this was going to be the closer of the two Big Ten championship games, but Illinois, you could say they pretty much stated their dominance all game over Iowa. Are you surprised by their performance in this one?
Not surprised by Illinois' performance. Maybe a little bit surprised that Iowa didn't have complete pushback, although that shot at the end. Okay, so we go on. Listen, here's the deal. Kofi Cockburn, monster. Ayo Dosunmu, one of the most entertaining players in college basketball. But this was the coming out party for Andre Curbelo. Now, he's not an unknown to Big Ten fans, to Illinois fans, to Eye on College Basketball podcast listeners. Like, he has been a big-time freshman contributor, but he had the most impactful 12-point performance maybe the entire season. 3 steals, 7 boards, 3 assists, and just making clutch plays throughout the game here. I love that dime there. Illinois, I got to admit, guys, like 3 weeks ago, I was thinking, you're probably going to have good value in Illinois in your bracket because they'll take another loss or two. They'll have a high loss count, and people, some people might pick them to make the Final Four, but they're not going to be like an overwhelming choice like a Gonzaga, Baylor at that point, in Ohio State, a Michigan, and maybe in Alabama. That's now done. Illinois might wind up as the second most popular national championship pick in your bracket games behind Gonzaga. Secret's entirely out, and no doubt about it, Illinois fans are probably seeing visions of that 05 team, which I still think is better than this team, and statistics say it is, but this group can flip a switch and be as dominant as that 05 team, and it's got one more chance tomorrow against Ohio State to do so. And here we go. That's your 4th 1 seed, by the way. These are locked in. Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, Illinois. Tomorrow, they're playing for a trophy. Ohio State's locked on the 2 line. Illinois is locked on the 1 line. And I just can't wait to watch Illinois again. It's a super entertaining team.
Luka Garza is the National Player of the Year. His body of work is absolutely put together, the kind of profile that is going to make him deserving of that honor. But I will say that this raised some alarms for me about Iowa and about the way that the Hawkeyes might be able to contend in a tournament setting. Because, as I mentioned, they did not look like they were able to match the energy that Andre Curbelo and Illinois had throughout the game. Luka Garza gets in foul trouble, and that foul trouble ends up costing him minutes on the floor. And then when he even is out there, he's not able to be as aggressive for fear of picking up another foul. Iowa tried to go zone for a little bit. Then they switched back to man-to-man. They got exposed in the pick and roll in a lot of their man-to-man settings. We've never counted on Iowa to be really great defensively, but we felt like the Hawkeyes had taken some steps forward on that end of the floor. I mean, they could still score with anybody in the country. If they get hot from 3 and if Luka gets going, and then, yeah, absolutely. And look, he had more than 20 points. I mean, you've got to look at the stat line and think that Garza was strong, but I just think that this team, when it comes into those second-round matchups or maybe that Elite 8 matchup, they just don't seem to have the goods, particularly on the defensive end. I wonder how good they are in terms of being prepared for a deep NCAA tournament run. Definitely a team that I've circled potentially to get bounced early.
So the alarms are going off in Chip's head here when he looks at Iowa for the NCAA tournament. Matt, is it the same for you? What are the Hawkeye ceilings as we look forward to March Madness?
Final Four. I mean, I'm not as much of a seller as Chip. I do think that they have the shooting, they have the offense. I mean, this is one of the 3 best offenses in college basketball. And, again, I'm going to speak as though they will face an opponent every single round. Because remember, for this year's NCAA tournament, there is the potential for, to use a tennis term, a walkover if you were to lose a team unexpectedly because of a COVID outbreak, which I don't think is too likely. You could advance further. So let's just say Iowa plays who it's scheduled to play, and if that happens, I think it's got a decent chance. It depends on where it lands. Is it going to be, say, the 2 seed in Gonzaga's region? Well, then no. I don't think the committee would want to do that. They've already played the season, but if that were to be the case, then I don't like Iowa's chances to make a Final Four run. If they were the 2 seed in, say, Baylor's region, okay, maybe that's a little bit better. They're going to try and avoid, I think, putting them with either Illinois or Michigan, obviously, because they're in the same conference. Their offensive ceiling is so high, Sherry, that I still give them a chance. I got to see who they face, though. This is very much a situation with the team. It's like, I got to know where they are in the bracket, who they might meet in the second round. who they might meet in the Sweet 16. Just to use as an example, Iowa's a 2 seed. Let's say Oklahoma lands on the 7 line, and they're in the same spot. Like, that would make me think, okay, if Iowa wins its first round game and Oklahoma gets past the 10 and it's a 7, you got number 2 Iowa versus number 7 Oklahoma. Theoretically, that would make me pause, because I think Oklahoma is good enough to beat Iowa. It has the pieces to do it. But, broadly and blanketly speaking, I do like their potential. I think they're more likely than not to get through to the second weekend.
Well, we do now know the Big Ten championship game, this game on CBS tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, Ohio State, Illinois. Chip, who are you giving the edge to when it comes to this Big Ten championship game?
I'm giving the edge to Illinois, and right now I just found another chapter in what might be our Kofi Cockburn Big Ten Conference Tournament Player of the Year discussion. No one argues that Ayo Dosunmu is, the team's MVP, the heartbeat, the best closer in college basketball. Andre Curbelo has been such a revelation over the back half of the season, but in the win against Rutgers, today against Iowa, from the jump, especially in the first half, and then I think again against an Ohio State team that is lacking a little bit for size down low. I just think that Kofi Cockburn has a great matchup advantage that makes Illinois the team that I would lean to in trying to pick this game. And again, I just see that the way these two teams line up, it really sets up well for Kofi Cockburn to have another big day in what would probably be a Big Ten Conference Tournament MVP style performance.
Yeah, we are in agreement here. So no Kyle Young for Ohio State on Saturday because of concussion protocols. Stands to reason he wouldn't be available for Sunday, but we don't yet know that. Knowing Chris Holtmann and that staff, I would not be surprised if they said, you know what, we are good. Let's just not play him and make sure he's healthy and good to go for the NCAA tournament. If that is the case, Ohio State is just that much smaller. Illinois, too well-rounded. I like them to win in terms of, by how many. I'll give you a blanket score going into this. I'd say Illinois along the line to say 88-81 over Ohio State. I think this can be a game that's decided in the 80s. A couple of high-revving, offensive-minded teams. Then Ohio State's deficiencies on the other end of the court on defense, similar to Iowa, lead me to believe that Illinois will win. And in doing so, capture a Big Ten Conference Championship for the first time since '05. And then you would have Michigan with the regular season title, Illinois with the postseason title. I think that's just wonderful heading into the NCAA tournament.
I think you guys are agreeing on this. And there's this song, Chip, that keeps coming to mind when you guys agree. Maybe you can help me out. What is this song?
UNITY, UNITY. Yeah, we're in lockstep. We're simpatico. It's because it's the right pick. Whatever the line is, you're going to know that Illinois is going to have the advantage against the Buckeyes, so just roll with it.
Just roll with it. These two did split the regular season series. Matt Norlander, Chip Patterson, our singer also, in addition to college basketball writer. Thank you so much, guys, for all of your insight. And get more from Matt and Gary Parrish on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Download and subscribe today. Selection Sunday is tomorrow. Don't forget, we spring our clocks forward an hour. Don't miss it. So you can download, subscribe to the podcast, get all you need for the storylines as we march on to March.